I first noticed the old woman in my mirror on a Wednesday night, around 2:14 a.m. I remember the time exactly because the digital clock beside my bed glowed in a soft red hue, the only light in the dark room. I had woken up thirsty, the taste of something metallic in my mouth, and I'd stumbled toward the bathroom without turning any lights on. The house was quiet in a way that didn't feel normal, like everything was paused, and I was the only person left moving. I pushed the bathroom door open with the back of my hand, letting the cold air brush against my skin. When I stepped inside, I caught my own reflection in the mirror, except it wasn't mine. At first, I thought I was still half asleep, blinking too slowly to fully register what I was seeing. The figure in the mirror stood where I stood, moved when I moved, but it wasn't me. She was older, much older. Her skin was thin and sagging like damp paper, grayish in tone. Her hair hung in wiry strands around a face that looked starved of life. Her eyes were sharp, bright, unblinking. They looked alive in a way that felt wrong. I froze, my chest tightened, my throat dried up. I slowly touched my cheek, and she mirrored the motion, but her hand was shaking violently, like she had no strength left in her bones. I backed away in pure silence, and she smiled, not a warm smile, an acknowledgement. Like she knew I could see her now, and she'd been waiting for this moment. The bathroom door creaked behind me as I stumbled backward, my heel catching on the hallway rug. By the time I reached the living room, the old woman's faint smile had imprinted itself into my mind. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening for anything, any hint of movement, any unfamiliar sound. But the house stayed quiet, too quiet. The next morning, sunlight filled the apartment as if nothing had happened. I stood in the hallway staring at the bathroom door, half expecting her to step out of it. When I gathered enough courage to enter, the mirror showed my normal reflection again. No old woman, no strange smile, no trembling hands, just me, exhausted and pale from lack of sleep. I tried to convince myself I'd imagined it. Maybe it was sleep paralysis. Maybe I'd been dreaming with my eyes open. Maybe stress was messing with my mind, but deep inside I knew what I saw wasn't a dream. Her eyes were too real, too aware. That evening I avoided all mirrors. I brushed my teeth using the tiny reflection in the chrome faucet instead. I got dressed facing the wall, pulling my shirt over my head without looking at the dresser mirror. I covered the living room mirror with a blanket. Anything to keep from seeing her again. But it didn't matter. Around 1:00 a.m., I heard a soft tapping. It sounded like fingernails gently knocking on glass. Tap, tap, tap. Then a pause. Then tap, tap, tap again. I sat up in bed, heart pounding. The sound was coming from the bathroom. I held my breath, trying to convince myself it was the pipes or the wind. But pipes don't tap rhythmically, and my bathroom doesn't have a window. The tapping continued steady, patient, almost polite. I stepped into the hallway, my bare feet cold on the wooden floor. The tapping grew louder, clearer. I approached the bathroom door slowly, the same way someone approaches an animal they know can kill them. I reached for the doorknob, and as soon as my fingers brushed the metal, the tapping stopped. The silence hit harder than the sound. I pushed the door open. For a moment, everything looked normal. The sink, the shower curtain, the toothbrush holder. And then my eyes slid toward the mirror. She was back. This time she wasn't mimicking me. She leaned closer to the glass from the inside, pressing her cheek against it as if trying to come through. Her mouth moved first, small twitches at the corners, as if she was practicing how to speak. Then her hand rose, fingers thin and crooked like dried branches. She pressed her palm flat against the glass, leaving behind a faint, greasy smear. I stepped back, shaking. I couldn't look away. Her lips parted slightly, and I I heard a faint whisper. A voice that didn't come from the room, but from behind the glass. Let me see. I bolted out and slammed the door shut so hard the frame rattled. I didn't open it for the rest of the night. I slept on the couch with every light on, and still I could feel her watching me. The next few days things got worse. Reflections around the apartment began to show small, impossible details. When I opened the oven door, my reflection didn't move at the same time. When I passed by the microwave panel, my reflection's eyes followed me even though I wasn't looking directly into it. The dark surface of my phone screen showed a silhouette behind me that vanished when I turned around. And every night the tapping came back. The old woman's face grew clearer, more defined every time I saw her. Her wrinkles deepened, her hair grew longer, stringier. Her eyes sunk further, but still burned with that unnatural life. Sometimes her lips twitched like she was practicing a smile again. Sometimes she mouthed words I couldn't understand, but one night she didn't wait for me to look at her. I was brushing my teeth while staring at the tiled floor, trying not to look at the mirror at all. Then the temperature dropped. A wave of cold crawled up my legs, up my spine, like invisible fingers dragging across my skin. I felt the air shift behind me, and suddenly, the reflection in the mirror made a sound. She laughed, a thin, breathless, broken laugh. Her reflection was laughing even though I wasn't moving. I dropped my toothbrush, choking on fear. Slowly, too slowly, I lifted my head. She was right behind my reflection. Her shoulder pressed against mine inside the mirror, her face near my ear. Her eyes looked directly into mine through the glass, and then her mouth moved, "You're fading." My knees buckled. I crawled backward out of the bathroom, gasping for breath. The lights flickered. The tapping started again, but this time it came from several surfaces at once. The bathroom mirror, the hallway frame, even the microwave door. Like she was everywhere. Like she was surrounding me from every reflective surface in the apartment. I covered every mirror, every glass, every reflective surface I could find. My home looked like a crime scene, blankets and towels draped everywhere. But around 3:00 a.m., I woke up to the sound of fabric tearing. When I stumbled into the hallway, the blanket covering the bathroom mirror lay shredded on the floor. The mirror was uncovered again, and the old woman was closer than ever. She reached the surface of the glass with both hands, pushing her face so close her nose flattened. Her breath fogged the inside of the mirror. Her eyes, those dead, hungry eyes, looked straight into me. Her lips formed one final message, not much longer, and then the glass cracked. A thin spiderweb fracture spread across the surface. Just one line, but it was enough. She wasn't trying to scare me anymore. She was trying to break through. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile. Those brittle yellow teeth, that dry, cracking skin, those sunken eyes that glowed like dying embers in a fireplace. She wasn't a reflection. She wasn't an illusion. And she definitely wasn't gone. By 4:37 a.m., my apartment felt colder than it ever had before. The air felt heavier, like it was thick with something rotten, and yet I didn't dare go near the bathroom again. I stayed curled on the couch with all the lights on, staring at the hallway like something was about to step out of it. And at 4:52 a.m., something did. Not a person, not her, but a sound. A soft shhshhshh, like fingertips dragging lightly across glass. A slow, deliberate stroking coming from the bathroom mirror. My stomach tightened into a rock. I stayed completely still, afraid even breathing would make a noise she could hear, but then the sound grew louder. More aggressive, fingernails now, scraping, hard, slow, longer, like she was trying to write something on the glass. I didn't want to look. God, I didn't want to look. But my body moved before my brain approved it. I found myself standing, taking one shaky step toward the hallway, then another. The air felt colder the closer I got, cold enough that my teeth chattered. The apartment suddenly felt wrong. The walls felt too close. The silence between the scraping noises felt too deep. When I reached the bathroom door, the scraping stopped. Everything went dead quiet. My heart hammered so hard it felt like it was punching my ribs. I raised my hand slowly and pushed the door open. The light inside flickered once, twice, then stayed dim, and the mirror, God, There were smears all over it. Long, wet tracks winding across the glass like something dripping down. But the steam from the shower had dried hours ago. These weren't watermarks, they were words written backward, like someone on my side of the mirror was supposed to read them. 3 words, I can see through the glass, in the dim reflection. The old woman smiled at me. Not my reflection, her, but she wasn't mimicking me anymore. She wasn't copying my movements. If anything, I realized with a sinking, sickening horror, she was watching me independently, her head tilted forward in a sharp, unnatural jerk. Her milky eyes seemed to twitch with excitement, like a starving animal seeing food for the first time in days. And then she moved, not slowly, not hauntingly. She moved with speed, a natural, twitchy, jagged speed, her face slamming up against the other side of the mirror so hard the glass vibrated. Her fingers curled against her side of the mirror, the nails clicking with impatience. She mouthed something at me, 3 syllables, let me out. I stumbled back so fast I hit the hallway wall. The air was so cold it hurt to breathe. Her face pressed harder into the glass. I could hear a faint cracking sound. She began smiling wider, too wide, skin ripping at the corners. I grabbed a towel and threw it over the mirror, too scared to look at her anymore. The moment it covered the glass, the bathroom fell silent. Not peaceful, not safe, silent like a predator waiting. I backed out of the room and slammed the door shut, and then I heard it, the sound of nails on glass getting angrier, faster, like she was clawing at the towel, trying to rip it away. I ran out of the apartment. I didn't think, didn't plan, just ran barefoot down the hallway, out the front door, into the cold morning air like someone was right behind me. I didn't stop until I reached my car. I locked the doors and sat there for what felt like forever. By sunrise, I had made a decision. I needed help. I drove to my grandmother's house. She used to talk about mirrors, about thin places, about things that lived where they weren't supposed to. Maybe she was the only person who wouldn't think I was insane. When she opened the door and saw me shaking, pale, terrified, she didn't ask what happened. She just said, "You looked." Her voice was flat, sad, like she already knew. I sat at her kitchen table, gripping a warm cup of tea with both hands, trying to keep steady. She watched me quietly, waiting until I spoke. "There's someone in my mirror," I whispered. "She looks like an old version of me. She talks without sound. She writes. She's alive." My grandmother didn't flinch. "Did she smile at you?" she asked softly. I nodded. Her eyes closed for a long moment. "Then she's chosen you." A cold wave swept through my body. "Chosen me for what?" I asked, voice trembling. My grandmother didn't answer immediately. She stood, retrieved an old rusted box and set it in front of me. Inside were old photos, blackened, white, cracked with age. Every woman in our family was there. My grandmother, my mother, her grandmother, and in every photo, always behind them, in the faint reflection of a window or a mirror, that same old woman, wrinkled, smiling, watching. My hands shook as I pointed. She was there even then. My grandmother nodded. "She follows the women in our bloodline," she whispered, "but she can only take one at a time." I felt like the air had been punched from my lungs. "Take," her voice trembled. "She doesn't want your reflection. She wants your place, your life. She can't step out until you look long enough for her to know you, to memorize your movements, your expressions, your habits." I swallowed hard. I didn't look into her eyes for long, maybe a few seconds. My grandmother's face hardened. "That's enough." Fear climbed up my spine like ice. "What do I do?" I whispered. "How do I stop her?" My grandmother reached across the table and grabbed my hands. "You don't stop her," she said quietly. "You outrun her." I stared. What does that even mean? She will come for you, through any reflection, any polished surface, any shadowed glass. Every time you see yourself now, she'll be closer. My throat tightened. "So, what do I do?" Her voice cracked as she whispered, "You stay away from mirrors. My heart plummeted. How do you live without ever seeing your reflection? How do you survive something that can follow you through glass? But before I could ask, there was a sound from the hallway, a soft tapping, nail tapping on glass. My grandmother's eyes widened in horror, slowly, with dread crawling across my skin. I turned toward the sound. A framed picture on her wall, glass covered, was shaking, and behind the glass, her face pressed hard, smiling wide, ripping wide, her hand banging against the glass faster, harder, louder. I grabbed my grandmother's hand. But the old woman's voice, faint and raspy, whispered from the reflection, "I found you." And then the picture frame fell, shattered, glass sprayed across the floor, but she wasn't in the picture anymore. Not behind it, not in the pieces, not anywhere. My grandmother squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. "She's out of the mirror," she whispered. My breath stopped. "But she's not out here." I barely managed to speak. "Then where is she?" And my grandmother swallowed, terrified. "She's between." I hated the way she said it. Like between wasn't a place. It was a direction, a phase, a movement, a transition. "She's waiting for the right reflection," she whispered. "The one she can use." I didn't understand, not until I saw the phone on the counter. Black screen, reflective. A small, dark shape formed just at the edge of the screen. A face, her face, smiling as she began crawling closer through the reflection. My grandmother swatted the phone off the counter, smashing it. She grabbed my arm. "We need to go," she hissed. We ran out the door, but the sunlight outside didn't comfort me. The world wasn't safe from her. Every window, every car mirror, every polished surface became a potential doorway. My grandmother drove fast, hands trembling, eyes scanning every reflection, and every few minutes, I saw her in the car's side mirror. In the window of passing houses, in the reflection of someone's sunglasses, always smiling, always closer. I held my breath as her face filled the side mirror, her rotten smile stretching further, eyes burning with hunger. And then she whispered through the glass, almost. My grandmother swerved, shaking. "She's choosing her moment," Grandma whispered, "the moment you look too long." But the old woman was patient, terrifyingly patient. And then something horrifying happened. The radio in the car crackled to life with a distorted voice. Mine, but old, dry, whispering, "Let me have what you wasted." My grandmother grabbed my hand again, tight. "You cannot let her take your name," she warned. "Your face is one thing, your life is another, but your name is the key." My pulse hammered so loud I felt faint. Every surface now held a faint hint of a reflection. Her fingers, her teeth, her smile. My grandmother sped down the road, breath shaking. "There's only one place she can't reach you," she said, "but we need to." She froze, I froze, because in the rear-view mirror, her hand was already reaching out, not pressed against the glass anymore, reaching, curling, stretching toward the backseat, toward me, and her voice slithered through the car like cold air. "I'm not your reflection." Her fingers brushed the edge of my shoulder. "I'm your replacement." Grandma screamed my name. I jerked forward, away from the mirror. Hand, but it kept stretching longer, as if her arm had no bones at all. The mirror cracked down the middle. And the last thing I saw was her face pushing through the glass, tearing skin, ripping, forcing her way toward me before the mirror shattered completely. Grandma slammed on the brakes, shards flew everywhere. But she didn't come out, not fully, only her voice remained, echoing from the broken fragments. "You saw me." The fragments vibrated. "You know me." They began to drag across the dashboard. "And I want what you have." Grandma grabbed me and shouted, "Don't look at it." I shut my eyes. But it was too late, because I could feel her breath behind me. I could feel fingers combing gently through my hair, and she whispered one word, from somewhere I couldn't see, but somewhere way too close. Soon, when the mirror woman whispered, "I'm almost through, and when I come, you won't exist anymore," something inside me finally snapped. I stumbled back, my breath shaking, every vein in my body trembling with cold panic. The lights in my apartment flickered violently, on, off, like the whole place was glitching with her arrival. The mirror surface rippled, not like glass, like skin. The old woman's face pressed forward so hard that the glass bulged outward, stretching like a thin film between us. Her smile widened, splitting all the way to her ears. Her teeth were long now, too long, and their tips scraped the inside of the mirror like claws dragging across bone. I whispered, "Stop, please, stop." She didn't blink. She didn't breathe. She spoke without opening her mouth. "You gave me your name the night you cried in front of me. You gave me your face when you stared too long. You gave me your life the moment you wished you were someone else." My blood turned to ice. I had whispered it once, months ago, on one of my lowest nights. "I wish I wasn't me anymore." And she had heard. Her fingers pushed against the inside of the mirror, the glass warping outward until thin cracks spiderwebbed across it. With every crack, my head throbbed, my chest tightened, my breath came shorter. Like the mirror was my lungs and she was crushing them. I staggered forward and grabbed the frame, trying to shove the mirror back, but the surface pulsed like a heartbeat beneath my palms. She laughed. It was the ugliest, oldest, hungriest sound I had ever heard. Suddenly the room behind me grew freezing, and I felt a presence at my back. Her shadow stretching out from the mirror, crawling across the floor like black tendrils of smoke. The old woman hissed softly, "Turn around. See how close I already am." I couldn't move, not even my fingers. It felt like invisible hands gripped my spine, my ribs, my jaw, slowly. Against my own will, my head turned. Over my shoulder, standing inches behind me, was her shadow, tall and skeletal, with joints bent in the wrong directions and a hollow where her heart should have been. It slowly lifted its hand and rested it gently on the top of my head, like a grandmother blessing a child. But its touch was ice, dead ice, my vision blurred, the mirror glowing brighter and brighter behind me. My reflection, my real one, was fading, growing transparent, losing shape. I gasped as a horrible realization hit me. She wasn't crossing over to my world. She was pulling me into hers. The mirror behind me cracked violently. A chunk of glass fell inward, not outward. Like the mirror had become a doorway, I felt myself being pulled backward, my heels scraping against the floor, my arms flailing in panic. I grabbed the doorframe, grabbed anything I could, but my fingers were going numb, losing strength. Her voice echoed from both sides. "Stop struggling, sweetheart. You wished for this." I screamed, I kicked, I begged, but the mirror swallowed my ankles, then my knees, then my waist. Every part of me that passed through it felt like it was being dipped into ice water filled with broken teeth. Inside the mirror was darkness. Endless, suffocating darkness, and in the darkness I felt hands, hundreds of them, touching me, pulling me down, stroking my hair, grabbing my wrists, my face, my throat. Whispers filled my skull. "You're the newest one. You shouldn't have looked so long. Your face is ours now." My arms gave out, my fingers slipped from the frame, and I fell falling into nothing, weightless and screaming, until my body hit cold, hard ground. When I opened my eyes, I was inside the mirror. Or the place behind it. A corridor stretched endlessly in both directions, lined with mirrors, hundreds of them, all reflecting different versions of me, younger, older, twisted, smiling, crying, dead. At the far end, an entire row of mirrors showed the old woman wearing my face, laughing with my mouth, breathing with my lungs, living in my home, walking in my clothes, talking with my voice. She turned, looking at me through the glass. My own face smiled back at me, not the old woman's smile, my smile, and she whispered, "Thank you for giving me your place. Take mine now." I ran to the mirror, pounding my fists bloody, begging, screaming. But the glass solidified again. No doorway, no cracks, just a reflective tomb. On the other side, the woman wearing my face lifted a finger to her lips and shushed me gently. Then she walked away. My reflection didn't follow. Because my reflection wasn't mine anymore, the mirrors around me began to flicker with movement, shadows turning, heads jerking, grins splitting across dozens of versions of me. Whispers rose all around. "Welcome, welcome back, welcome forever." And as I backed away, trembling, I understood the truth. The old woman was never my reflection. I am hers, and now I am trapped in the place where reflections go to die. Forever.